After literally 16 months of a LinkedIn experiment, I have determined and noticed that 99% of financial advisors on the platform are getting it done the wrong way. They're doing it the wrong way. And I'm going to show you how you can become that 1% today. So stick with me. We're going to go through some stuff. I am going to be giving you a very high level view of what I've been doing over the last 16 months on LinkedIn. And I'm going to share with you very specifically how in 1 week where I had 68% less people viewing my post, so 68% less impressions, where I actually had 5 qualified prospects on my calendar. So I want to show you a couple of things. This is really a macro view of how do you get the people, how do you bridge the gap between the people that you want to help and what you have to help them. That's what I'm going to show you today. Okay, so let's dive in. I apologize. I'm about an hour later than what I originally wanted to be here doing, but technical difficulties. Technology works until it doesn't. So that's kind of how that works. All right. So what I'm going to show you right now is just the proof of what I'm talking about. So I'm going to pull over my screen and give you a screen share. If I can navigate this. Okay, so what you're looking at right here is a tool that I use. Oops, let's make sure that you can actually see it. There we go. Okay, that's not what I want. Give me a second. There we go. Okay. I want to share a different screen. Give me a second, guys and gals. I don't know why it's looking at the wrong thing. Okay, let's get rid of that. And we're going to find it. We're going to find it. Give me a minute here. Oh, I know. I'm looking at the wrong thing. That's what it is. Preview. This is what I want. One of these. Yeah, that one. Okay. So what you're seeing here is software that I use to kind of track it. It's called Authored Up. And you might want to invest in some of these things that I'm talking about just because it's going to help you if you're really serious about this, LinkedIn and stuff like that. This kind of stuff will help you. But what you're seeing is the week prior. So I told you that this week I had 68% less impressions on my post compared to the previous day. So I had almost 16,000 the week of October 7th through the 14th, but this week, the 15th through the 22nd, I only had 5,000. So that's a 68% less. So I just want to kind of tell you, what's up, Dr. Cherry? So giving a shout out to my homeboy there. I had 68% less people looking at my posts, but I still had 5 qualified prospect appointments on my calendar this week. How do you do that? Well, one of the first things you got to do is you got to ignore the vanity metrics. Vanity metrics will get you nowhere. You will sit there and go, I got all these engagements. I got all these impressions. What's going on? Why they're not, why am I not actually having any appointments? Because you need to be tracking the right things. What you need to be tracking, and I'm going to show you all this stuff later as we go through this framework. What you need to be tracking is meaningful connections that result in appointments. Now, meaningful connections to me looks like you slide into somebody's DM after they look at your post or after they subscribe to your newsletter or after they connect with you or after they follow you. These are all the things that kind of lead to those conversations that are calendar appointments, which is what we all want. Like, let's just be real. The only reason that you're on a platform like LinkedIn is, again, because you're trying to get the people that you help to understand what you're talking about and that gap to be bridged for them to come over the bridge to you to the thing that you offer, the services or the products or whatever. That's the only reason why you're creating content. You're not doing it for your health. Like there's better things to do. So I want to walk you through some of the things that I think would be super helpful for you to consider as you're in this content game, okay? So let me show you kind of the way that I am thinking about this, and we'll use the whiteboard. So what you have here, which I already drew out, you have this bridge that you're trying to gap, okay? This is the bridge here. Now what you have over here is who you help and how you help them. Let's call them your ideal client profile or ideal client avatar, whatever term you want to use. I've used both of those interchangeably. Having some issues here with my screen share. I lost my connection. Give me a second here. The technology is just not really, really not my friend today for whatever reason. All right, so let's get my board going one more time. Yeah, it's not going to show. Okay, don't worry about it. So on this side, we have who you help and how you help them. That's your ideal client avatar. Okay. And on this side, you have the offer, the solution, whatever that thing is that you really need to get clear about. Okay. So what we need to try to do is we need to try to bridge the gap so that the person that we help, that special group of people with a specific set of problems, understand the solution that we have. And so you have to bridge that gap. So there's 5 things that we do to bridge that gap. Okay, that's what we're going to go through right now. When there is no bridge between those two people, no one will find out what you're talking about. You could be the best financial advisor in the world, have the best planning software, best strategy, best whatever, but no one will ever know about you. And that's most of the problem with the 99% of advisors. As I'm just kind of surveying the land of LinkedIn, what I notice a lot of is a generic posting, just kind of boilerplate stuff. It's not really speaking to anybody. It's not really grabbing attention, right? This is an attention game because you may think that as a financial advisor or financial professional that you have as, like, for instance, I may think that Dr. Cherry is my competition. Really, he's not. He is kind of, but he's not. What is the real thing that we're going after is attention, right? I need my client to pay attention to me long enough for them to understand what I offer them, the transformation, the way that I can solve their problem. That's kind of the deal that we're really wanting to manage for. And if you don't have a great way to get their attention, then it will look like Dr. Cherry is your competition. It will look like that to me. But really, it's the next thing they could be doing with their time, whether that's catching up on Netflix or ordering some DoorDash or going out or whatever the thing is, okay? So I think you need to strip the idea away, strip the notion away that this person you're competing against is like the financial professional down the street. Like maybe like in second or third order of consequence. The very first thing is that you need to grab their attention. Okay. So how do you do that? Step 1 is like your unique positioning. Let's call it defining the distinct difference. What makes you different than everybody else calling themselves a financial professional? By estimates, there's probably 600,000 people calling themselves financial professionals, between insurance professionals, people that, just got a life and health license, like people that are, licensed like 7 and 66. They work for a broker dealer or a wirehouse. You got CFPs. Like there's a lot of people that call themselves financial professionals. How are you different? What do you do that no one else does, that your ideal client avatar or ideal client profile is searching for? Well, I'll give you a clue to this. Knowledge of the problem is very much more important than knowledge of the solution, my friend. Meaning that if you are a financial professional, knowing how to open up a 401k, or knowing that you need to be invested 60/40, or knowing that you need to save enough for retirement, or knowing that you need to have your kids' 529s funded. So what? Everybody knows that. You can Google that information. That's knowledge of the solution. But knowledge of the problem is, why hasn't this person funded their kids 529 when they know they need to do this? Or why haven't they saved enough for retirement when they know they need to do this? There's the cognitive dissonance that is happening there from a behavioral standpoint that you need to unpack. And you can't do that for 330 million people in the United States. That's why you have to narrow down who you're speaking to. The special group of people with a specific set of problems. It makes it so much easier for you to become an expert on the problems they're facing. That's how you define your distinct difference. What do you offer? Are you offering cash flow? So like, for instance, let's say somebody's retiring and they got a $2 million 401k. Well, if they're retiring and they got a $2 million 401k, at what clip are they going to start pulling money out of that 401k and using it for their expenses? Could you be a person that comes along that helps them cash flow their 401k with the type of investments that you put into the IRA that they're going to roll that 401k over to, and help them with tax planning so that they minimize the tax burden over time, because they're likely to have other sources of income in their retirement. You could be that person. So you could optimize tax liability in retirement while maximizing cash flow. That could be what you do. That could be your LinkedIn headline. I help people maximize their retirement income while minimizing their tax liability. And that is a very specific group of people. It is people that have retired or going to retire. They would want to talk to you about what type of strategies you use, asset location, and all these different things. That's way different than I help all retirees. Okay? If you're tracking with me, thumbs up in the chat. If you got questions, let me know. So you got to define, that's step one, your unique positioning. So again, we're trying to bridge the gap between the people that you help and how you help them, and where they find out about this help that you offer, okay? That is the problem. You have the help, and there are people available, but you've got to bridge that gap, and this is how you do it. The next thing you need to do is distribute your definitive direction. Like, they gotta know, like, let's go back to the retirement people. They gotta know what their next step is. I need so many advisors that I coach and consult with have all these pieces in this big elaborate process that, to be quite honest, is very overwhelming, and you're giving people way too much information at the beginning. You just need to help them to their next step. That's all. So that could be on a platform like LinkedIn or YouTube or Facebook or wherever you choose to hang out on social, where your people are, hopefully, is just telling them, hey, if you're having a problem, if you're about to retire, download the 10 questions that all retirees need to understand. This is the difference between you making a mistake of $100,000 and paying extra taxes in your retirement, right? That could be your lead magnet. That could be the little case study or whatever that you give to get their attention. Okay, that's your give to get offer. So you might share that on any particular platform. I've seen people do all kinds of things. Sinister Days, what's going on? Good morning. I've seen all types of ways to do this. You can do this in blogs. You can do this on podcasts. You can do this, writing posts on social. There's just so many ways you can do it. I think what you do is you look inwardly to see what kind of creative juices you have and comfort level on some of these platforms. And some of it, may feel a little bit more natural than others. And then you go out there and do whatever you're going to do, right? There's no right, wrong, indifferent on that. Now, I will say, just parenthetically, since we are talking about LinkedIn and things like that, I will say that of all the platforms that I've kind of surveyed, and I've been on just about all of them, largely except for kind of TikTok. I never went in on the TikTok, and I really never really went on Threads. But what I will say is, for financial professionals trying to reach their ideal client avatar, I'm going to say that LinkedIn, hands down, is where you need to be. And I'm just going to take a slight rabbit trail, slight tangent to explain my thesis on that. And then YouTube. Okay. Let me give you why both of these, and then we're going to get into the last 3 steps, and then we'll answer questions, and then we'll tie this thing up. Okay. So why LinkedIn? Well, first of all, LinkedIn is true identity. What do I mean by that? Well, when you look up my LinkedIn profile, you know that I am Dominique Henderson. And then I can see who's viewed my profile. There are no pseudonyms. There are no, like, not to pick on you, Sinister Days, but there's no Sinister Days. I don't know, like, that's not your real name. That's a pseudonym, right? That's the handle that you're using on YouTube. But I don't know your real name. That's one of the barriers that LinkedIn alleviates. You can't sign up with one of those type of names, right? Because there's identity verification and there's all kind of stuff that they do now. That is super cool, because what I can now start to do is I can target my, and I like to call it cyber stalking, my ideal client profile or avatar, because I can see, oh, you work at Amazon.com, or, Amazon.com is a bad example, but, like, for instance, if I am trying to work with RIA owners that feel trapped in their success, which is what I do, then I can see what firm they work. I can hit the about page or the team page. I can see where they're at. I can legitimize and validate who they are as a person. So I know, the type of effort. I'm getting some ROI on my effort. I actually know this is a real person. I can't do that if I only have a pseudonym, right? So that's one of the reasons why I think LinkedIn is super powerful. And they've made this professional network into more of a social network. So there's a lot of community engagement that is going on if you choose to go that route. The second platform, as I named, would be YouTube. And the reason why I like YouTube is because data, particularly videos, lives there forever. I have content that I've created years ago at this point that is still getting views all throughout the year while I'm sleeping in my bed at night. Like, it's literally ridiculous. So for you to have a body of content eventually on a platform like YouTube, I think is super helpful for just your building the value of your asset library, right? So, like, if you got videos on Roth IRAs or retirement in cash flow in retirement, or tax minimization strategies, these could all be like silos or playlists that you create on a platform like YouTube that people can go and look at any particular time. Okay. You may even do a podcast series. YouTube allows you to do podcasts now that you can just, all that out. So there's ways to build your digital library and that asset library as a content creator, as a financial professional and a content creator, that I think you get a lot of ROI on those 2 platforms. Okay. So enough about that. Let's go into the third one. So first of all, we're going to, you got your unique positioning. Then you got to talk about, you got to think about where and how you share what you do. Okay. To give them that next step. So we define your distinct difference. That's number 1. That's your unique positioning. And then we distribute your definitive direction. Okay. What is the next step that you want me to do, Dominique? Because I'm about to retire and I'm not going to have a tax problem, right? I give them that next step. Next thing is you're going to design a very deliberate draw, like a lead magnet specifically, okay? So lead magnets can look like a bunch of different things. They can look like quizzes. They can look like case studies. They can look like a PDF with some steps, like an infographic. Again, I'm not going to get into the minutia of what level of creativity you have and how you want to do this. That doesn't really matter. It just needs to be something that really answers the question of, what is the specific way, Dominique, that you're going to help me in retirement? I'm about to retire. I have all these different questions. I'm just thinking about stuff. I'm hearing things at the water cooler. I'm talking to friends. I'm using AI to figure out things. What is the central most important question that you can answer for me as a retiree? That's what your lead magnet should do, or whatever your thing is. You know, if you're insurance or tax or estate or investments, whatever you choose, okay? But pick one particular topic and just do really good job of answering the problem that they're facing. Think about it like this. This person is probably, okay, let's go back. Whenever you have a problem, you as a person, I'm talking to you right now, financial professional, how much do you obsess over how to fix that thing? That's just how the brain works, right? It's even working in your subconscious, like while you're asleep. It's just going on and on, trying to find a solution to your problem. Your avatar, your client avatar, ideal client avatar, is doing the same thing. And if you can figure out what they're thinking about, that takes some research, and then provide an answer to that, then they're going to download that lead magnet all day. They'll be looking for that all the time. Okay, so that's what you want to figure out. And there's a tool that I'm going to provide you with at the end of this. Just stay to the end of this, and I'm going to give you a tool that you can use to figure that out, because you're like, I don't know exactly how we figure that out. Maybe I can do this, or maybe I can do that. I have a very specific process for you to do that. So just hang tight for me. Okay. So you gotta, the importance of the lead magnet is not only so you can display or demonstrate how you can help them, because you're not necessarily helping them. They haven't interacted with you. They're just taking a piece of collateral off the internet and they're going to use it, you've created that. Now, the way that works though is typically what they're going to do is they're going to give you their email address, and then you're going to send them the email with the collateral, or you're going to make a post and say, comment this, and then you're going to send them what they need in a DM. You know, there's a couple different ways to exchange information here. But what you want to do, this is the goal. The goal is to pull them off the platform that you found them on and into your email list. Because the likelihood that this person is going to jump to work with you from the bat with like literally no context, unless they've been watching your content for a long time, is low. So what you want to do is you want to grab their email and anticipate the long game. The long game is that you're going to give them this value, and at some point between the time that they first receive that lead magnet and you sending them messages and providing more value and sending them emails that have more value, eventually they're going to raise their hand and they're going to go, hey, I need help. Dominique, I'm about to retire. What do I need to do? That's just how humans work, okay? So you got to be prepared for that. Now, today we're not going to talk about the sequence that you set up in order to be ready for that moment, but just know that that moment is going to come. It's going to come, okay? You just got to be ready for it. Okay, so that's step 3. Design your deliberate draw. There's so many different lead magnets out there. There's a lot of ways to create that. Just go out there and, kind of use your be inspired to use your creative capabilities in that regard. Okay. Step 4. You need to be thinking about, when we're talking about this solution, you need to think about something that scales. All right. So I like to think about this as deepening your devotion and dedication. What do I mean by that? Well, if I'm going to do tax planning for retirees, then I probably need some type of software that's going to allow me to do this at scale, right? I don't want to have to be looking through tax returns, multiple pages of tax returns for every client. That's not scalable. I could use a software like Holistiplan that allows me to upload the tax return and spits out this report that gives me all the numbers that I need to show somebody and present value to them, right? I may think about purchasing something like Holistiplan so that I can upload dozens of tax returns, how many people are coming through my funnel that want this service at a time, and then meet with them maybe for 20 or 30 minutes to highlight the 2 or 3 things that they need to do, and then go, this is probably where you need to go. Do you think you need help with this? Right? That's kind of the goal there. So you have to deepen your devotion and your dedication, meaning that you're going to have to find a level of specialization that actually scales. So many advisors that I work with want to build out all these really complex processes and stuff like that, that first of all, take too long to execute on. So the client kind of loses their patience and gets a little fatigued. And it's not scalable. You'll have another problem too down the road, which is if you don't document how this is done. If you get hit by a car or a truck or something like that, and nobody knows how to do it, and your practice is like has no value. So be thinking about things that are scalable, right? Investment reviews and stuff like that are somewhat scalable. They're just not valuable, right? Because anybody can do that. Like you can almost get AI to do that. But tax strategies, reviews of tax returns and stuff like that, where you're thinking about things that people are going to have to face anyway, right? So last but not least, you're going to need to take your expertise, right, and find a way to monetize that. So that's when you build the believable bridge, right? Who is this person that's retiring, and how do they feel that you can really help them? Are they sold that you can really help them? How are you demonstrating that? Hopefully you've done it first with the lead magnet, but the lead magnet, again, is a step on the stage for them to begin working with you, right? So they see maybe through a video or read a blog that you've done, they download the lead magnet, they go, ooh, this is really interesting. They get to that point where they're like, hey, Dom, I need help. Then they sign up for an appointment on your calendar. After that appointment or during that appointment is when you demonstrate how you can help them. That's the bridge. The person has now found your expertise and you need them to travel over and say yes, right? That's the whole goal. Now, going back to the top of what we said at the beginning of this is, how did I use this same framework? Because this framework, by the way, works for whatever vertical, especially when you're talking about a professional services model. So whether I'm myself as a consultant to financial advisors, or whether you are a financial advisor / financial professional that is reaching out to retirees, it doesn't really matter. You can use this same framework that I've been using over the last 16 months to identify who you help and how you should position yourself on a platform like LinkedIn to get them attracted to you, and then what you can offer them in the form of a lead magnet so that they will see what you do and start to come across that bridge. Okay? So that's what I've already developed for you. All you literally have to do is go to a web page and opt in with your email address. That's all you have to do. It's very simple. So I'm about to put that up right now so that anybody that's with me now or watching on the replay will have access to this. And the only thing else that you will have to do is, give me a second here. I'm trying to sign in to get this link for you. The only other thing that you will have to do is have access to a free version of either Claude or ChatGPT, either one. I've tested that, all these platforms, Grok also. And give me just a second here. I'm still looking for it. Yeah, I've tested all these platforms, and all you have to do is, actually, I think I'm going to do you a solid. I think I'm going to do a text. That'll be easier. Let me just make sure this text works. I should have did that before this email, the link, URL rather, is a little gnarly, so. But I think this will work. I'm going to text it myself real quick. And go ahead and load up your questions. If you have any questions about this content that we just talked about, I am going to hang out for just a second to answer. Yeah, that works. So you can do that. I'll just make it really easy. Um, Text blueprint to that number and you will be good to go. All right. One question I did have that was posed to me about this was earlier when we were supposed to meet was how do I start to develop the language to talk to people about what I do? This was a question that was asked by someone that was in the Zoom that we registered for earlier. And here's what I would say. I think there's a couple ways to be thinking about this, right? At least the way I kind of, in my mind, the way I think about this is we all have pretty much the same vocabulary, but different definitions. And the way I kind of put this was when you ask people, what is a financial advisor or what does a financial advisor do? You typically get different answers. And those answers have to do with a lot of things, have to do with cultural upbringing. They have to do with, their own past experience, just a lot of things. So I think one of the first things to do in order to really bridge the gap when we're talking about that bridge that we were talking about earlier, I think you have to define what you're talking about. Have to. I don't think that it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be easy to have a conversation and communicate clearly your value proposition unless you first define what it is that you do and how you help people. So that first part of of this step, define your distinct difference, that's very, very clear. Like some people don't know the difference between a financial coach, financial therapist, professional. Like they don't know what a CFP is, right? So this is one of the reasons why I tell people when I'm working with them, I'm like, your title inside your LinkedIn headline, like your job title, really has no context for that person that's seeing your LinkedIn profile. It doesn't really mean anything. They don't know how you help them by saying financial advisor or investment professional or wealth manager. That means nothing to them. You should state in a sentence how you help people, who you help and how you help them. That is probably going to be the most effective. Now, whether that's compliant for you or all those other things is something totally different. But just saying from a practical standpoint, what you want to be thinking about is actually taking the problem you solve for those people and broadcasting that like on the marquee of what you do or the platform you're on. That would be some of the best advice I would give you. So when someone's like, hey, Dom, how do I actually articulate what I do for people? I think you need to get really clear on definitions. You can do a lot of reading. There's plenty of books and just all kinds of stuff. I mean, Kit's podcast and website is excellent for like getting very deep and immersed and acquainted with all the vocabulary that is for financial professionals. Okay. All right. I think I can't emphasize enough the reason or validating the reason you should be on a platform like LinkedIn. I think there's just so much value. Here's another thing that I recently ran across, and I knew this was going to be the case years ago, which is the reason why I've been building my content vault for almost 7 years now. So when you start to use AI, which more people are going to use AI now, just pick your AI engine of choice, whatever your preference is. But what has started to happen, and I would say over the last 6 months or so, is when you start to ask ChatGPT or Claude or whatever you're using about, let's say, Dominique Henderson, it starts to pull in stuff that I posted on LinkedIn, which is super cool. It does a lot of things, not only just giving you the information from a Google search standpoint, but it's also validating. Like if I say I'm a coach of financial advisors and it starts to grab my last 6 months of posts, speaking particularly to that demographic, then that just validates and, like elevates my status in the eye of the person that's doing that search and that research. Now, think about how that works for you as a financial professional with someone that's retiring, going back to the example we talked about earlier, there's someone that's retiring that needs help with taxes, needs help with maximizing cash flow, and you've made all these posts about that topic and about that theme and how you do that and what you should avoid and all the positives and all the negatives and da 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 da. And now somebody just searches, I need help with figuring out what I need to do in retirement from a tax standpoint and maximizing my cash flow. I've been looking at hiring a financial advisor. Where should I search? And then your stuff pops up in there because you've been talking about this. Like, that would be super cool. What do you think that person's going to do? They're going to reach out to you, right? That's just how that works. So I think there's a triangulation of you helping the person, you being that valuable expert that person needs, that person being, wherever they're doing, wherever they are in their career, maybe not even knowing about you, but then using AI as a tool to bridge that gap. But you've got to be feeding AI the right things, not specifically AI, but the platform that you're going to be on is feeding AI, which is the reason why you need to be on platforms like LinkedIn, like YouTube. And look, I know that it's hard to do your job as a financial professional and be a full-time content creator. I get it. Like many people don't know this, but I've ran 2 businesses for the last 6 years almost, while doing all the stuff that you guys see me do on social. Now, there's a level of automation that I do that a lot of people wouldn't know that it was me because it looks like I got a clone or something. But this is how you just set up systems to be doing things for you. Okay. So that's all I got for today. Go get the blueprint. This is going to be helpful. So I'll just give you a really quick preview of this. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but I'll give you a quick preview of this. Once you, hold on a second. Once you go and give me your email address, you're going to text, you click that link, you type your email address in, it's going to take you to this page. And this page is going to walk through all those 5 points that I talked about. All right. Because I want to give you exactly how I want to give you the what am I trying to say? I want to give you the framework for how you should be entering this, because your mindset is totally key. You can't just skip to the part at the end that I'm about to get to. You gotta we gotta lay the foundation for why you're going after this specific niche of people. Because I think, just parenthetically, people think that, hey, Dom, if I say that I only work with Amazon tech professionals, I'm not going to get the physician that lives next door to me that has $3 million. Well, chances are you weren't going to get that person anyway. I mean, let's just be real. You weren't going to get that person anyway. But if you get really specific, you will have the opportunity to turn away people like that, probably, because I'm pretty sure the tech professional has doctor friends. And if you're really good, your tech professional is going to talk to the doctor friends. That's probably the best way for you to get the doctor with $3 million, not what you thought. So you should just go in with a very laser-like sniper approach to who you want to help. And yes, that's going to be a no to most other people. But realistically, if you got 100 to 150 families, you know, with an average fee of somewhere between $7,500 and $10,000, that's close to $1 million in revenue in either scenario that you're doing that with. Okay. Okay. So eventually you're going to get down to these 5 steps, and I have a AI prompt that's going to help you work through this, right? It's got 5 iterations, and basically what it's going to do is going to ask you a bunch of questions, and it will narrow down who you need to work with based on who you said you have a proclivity to, or you like working with these people, or you have this type of skill set. Is going to help you with that. So at the end of this, what you will have is 3 things. You have clearly identified that person that you work with. You will have a LinkedIn headline suggestion for how to attract that person, and you will have a content creation idea of what you need to do to make an offer to them, like that freebie offer, that lead magnet that they would need to download. This is what this 5 iteration prompt is going to give you. Like, so you don't have to try to figure this out on your own. I've already done it several times in both my coaching practice and my wealth management practice. And so I know it works. I'm working with advisors right now that I coach that it works for them. So it works. All right. All you have to do is work it. It's like 12 steps. Like, it works if you work it. Okay. So, yeah, hopefully this has been helpful to you today. And like, go out there and conquer. Go out. You can dominate on LinkedIn in 2026, but you have to have the right approach. Okay. We'll see you later.